in Los Angeles at Friedrich Kunath studio. What's up, Freddie?
Ciao.
Va bene.
Va bene.
Freddie's a close friend, awesome dude, amazing artist, but I think, you know, him and I always got very much along because I think we both shared this passion for just collecting and being passionate about niche things. But yeah, Freddie in particular is very passionate about a variety of things, so we're here to showcase his dedication and his craft, and yeah, to see kind of the vantage point of collecting by way of an artist. But yeah, Freddie, show us a little bit, tell us a little bit.
Sure, come in.
This is an installation I had at a gallery, JTT, one of my favorite galleries in New York. I had this in, I think it was 2019 or 18. I basically left the gallery completely open and empty, and only when you turn into the left corner, hidden away, tucked away, as if you would broomed it to the corner of the room, I had this installation there. You couldn't go into it. It's all what do you say, plexiglass, right? So it becomes this diorama of one's past life, or
College dorm room or childhood room, university.
You know,
room.
all these kind of like narratives that are semi-biographical, but also touched on micro apartments in the 90s in Tokyo. When I moved to Los Angeles, I had all this, what you see in here, basically in storage in Germany, and I got the big crate 10 years later. So when you open up the crate 10 years later, and then you see your life 10 years ago, you almost have that distance to it, right? So all these things also touch on collecting, because that's like basically, maybe here you have in more of a what collecting means for me in this very distilled sculpture. And there's so many narratives and levels, and
this is full circle, like the connection and of what we were talking about earlier, the collecting, inspiring and morphing it into your craft and your work. And this is kind of like the reverse engineered collection that turns into the canvas. It's like a perfect encapsulation of an era, of a memento, like you said, not just one piece.
I pass it every day, and there's always a moment that I carry into the next room where I'm painting on a painting, and then it's like, oh, okay, everything's activating anything at any moment here in these rooms. Obviously, self-explaining, most important, best band in the world. And that would be my version of it, of an Oasis.
Definitely one of the coolest rooms, I think, in general, but
the air conditioning's on, so. Maybe you'll see here that it's a complete cacophony of things, and sometimes I just leave it for a couple months. Sometimes I'm going through it very carefully to kind of like go through it, like maybe an archive. But I sometimes even think of situations as of still lifes, and these still lifes then inform other parts of the studio, right? So they're a bit more active. Like, for example, I haven't touched this probably in 6 months, but I think there's some poetry to it because I haven't touched it. So, I mean, here we see, some CDs. Yes, I still have CDs. From my friend Sterling, a beautiful soft sculpture, a Richard Prince Instagram, which I, traded, but also then like this, I don't even know why, it's just these thrift store Giacomettis, and I love this Tony Curtis painting, but very carefully framed. Adam Rabinowitz, who is one of my closest friends. So everything you see here, obviously my vinyl collection, which is completely all over the place. So I'm not the type of vinyl connoisseur that sits there with a pipe and catalogs his vinyl collection. I literally just go through them also for images, for lyrics. I mean, we talk about collection, so I really use it. I really use the shit out of everything I have, and so
I think that's a collector's dream too. To be able to have access to it, to apply it to shit.
Right.
Because there is always a context and a reason. I don't think anyone's silly in their purpose of hoarding stuff.
some stuff I also collect is Enrique Mentínez. It's a journalist, photographer from Mexico City, primarily 60s, 70s, journalist for newspapers. I bought that 10, 20 years ago because I thought it's just like, it reminded me of my past life, passed out in the park. And I had it hanging in my bedroom, but then I kind of researched the photography, this particular photography, and I learned it's actually he got stabbed and she was crying, so I was like, fuck, I can't have that in my bedroom, right? So, and then the Highwayman, also very close to me is the band Silver Jews, David Berman, who I also collaborated with, some things he wrote on it. So I hold these very dearly to my heart. Another big obsession, I collect everything I can from Rod McEwen, one of the most prominent 60s hippie poetry, but he also made some amazing albums, which I collect pretty much everything of. And then we come to another obsession of mine is perfume, where I have most of it I have at home, but I have it here. I have here someone. At one point I also wanted to make a perfume. I'm still in the process of making a perfume, but it just, with the tennis and the music and the painting, I'll just spray when I come in, usually in the mornings. I spray one of these scents. I usually rotate like 20 scents in like 20 days, and then each morning it smells different throughout the day. I kind of it brings me joy, and it's like a weird performance ritual, I don't know.
I think smells, from what it sounds like for you, the significance of it, especially as it transports you and activates you and soothes you and, takes you in different directions and, allows you to kind of, opens up your creative outlets, on the perfume level.
I do have a sickness. I unfortunately collect Stone Island, mostly vintage Stone Island stuff, because I'm fascinated by the crossover between terrace culture and Italian 70s country club, and the kind of combination with hooliganism in England and Oasis, therefore, but also my love for Italy somehow comes together in a vintage Stone Island jacket. A little bit of my other obsessions is obviously tennis. I have to admit, I'm a bit of a nerd. So I like to go deep into the material, into the weights, into the pro sticks, into all this stuff. And I'm fortunate enough to have some pro sticks, like Johnny McEnroe gave me that. He even wrote on it, to Friedrich, especially Broken for You. And then, a few other sticks, mostly, Riley Opelka, one of my closest friends. I have a lot of his records, obviously, but also like some other players' records, Matteo Berrettini, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Nick Kyrgios, Tommy Paul, John Isner, the Bryan brothers. I don't know what this is. I love that paint. It's a Burdick, Thomas Burdick. And then I think that's Silic, that's a Tommy Haas.
Who's the later Cup one?
That I bought at the Laver Cup.
Right,
we were
right.
there.
Oh yeah,
you were there.
I was there with you when you bought it.
And
that's cool.
Taylor Fritz, I have some of his sticks. So very grateful because I do look at them. Again, I love tennis and I love all this stuff. Gives me also a tremendous amount of it's almost like a nurturous and some nurturous feeling, a therapeutic feeling of not thinking about my work so much. So then I go into these zones of music and of tennis where I can just space out and think about weight distribution on a racket or something like this. But then you go back into this room and it's, I go back into art history and just figure out what to do next. Maybe it's kind of symptomatic for my books and art history, having tennis channel on a 24/7 basis. Yeah, TFO, I need your racket, for sure.
I think music similarly, needless to say, you're also now involved in songwriting and on a more professional level too, is definitely one of your driving factors. and it's obviously across your work, it's all across your studio, and I think it's just something significant to talk about, you know, in general. I think, you know, just collecting records, as you said, you know, why is it so special and important to you?
Again, collecting music, thinking about music, literature, tennis, I mean, it's all one song. It's all one theme, and it's all one work, it's all one painting. I don't really think about like what is or what medium it necessarily is. I'm just going after that one feeling I want to have. Look, it's really simple. I'm the most happy person when I'm painting, when I'm playing tennis, when I'm within a, you know, the magic of a scent, when I'm in a song, when that song explains me my world or something that I didn't know before in 3 minutes. That's a miracle. And I just want to have more and more and more. That's why I collect these things, because it just feels like I can't get ever enough of what makes me happy. It's a very natural thing. Now we are going into another room where I mostly do some reading. I'm pretty ADD, so my reading is probably like 15 minutes, and then the next book 10 minutes, and the next book 5 minutes. I have this kind of clustered elements when I go outside and start a painting. It's a very quiet room, like I said. I put a lot of my works that, you know, maybe became bigger paintings or will become bigger paintings. So now, you know, there may be more studies of some sort. But, you know, like you have a small sculpture here that is an old sculpture of mine. Perfumes again. So I also take perfumes out and then have them here because I want to spray the chair. On a Wednesday, I feel like this chair needs to smell like tobacco vanilla. And then it's very idiotic, but it's also very, very fun. Because in the end, we artists, or artists, one of the most of the time we should play. You know, some notes, you know, that's kind of how I work. The big two guys, Liam and Johann Sebastian Bach, always watching over everything I do. Lettuce chairs, I love these. I love them very much. They're my favorite chairs.
That moment.
Another music zone where it's more analog stuff. Talking about collecting, look, that's a real collector's item. One of the best records. What's the story? Morning Glory. You know, can put it on if you want. What should we put on? Some might say, let's put in Morning Glory. Heaven. This is real collecting.